Hi, my name's Phil. I like talking about politics, and in this video I'd like to discuss how what at first appeared to be a little bit of Brexit irony has made me think there may be something more sinister at play. After all that time that Tory Brexiteers used fear of Turkey joining the EU to drive Brexit, which was about as likely as Michael Gove passing a drugs test, the UK government started pushing for closer ties with Turkey this month. Then what do I see being reported in the news today? Huge surge in Turkish exports to Russia. Is this the Tories still desperate to do business with Putin? But first, if you'd like to be notified of daily news and politics, please subscribe to the channel. So, during the 2016 Brexit referendum, Boris Johnson and others famously tried to claim that, close to 80 million Turks would soon be heading for the White Cliffs of Dover due to two, frankly, laughable concepts. The first is that Turkey was going to join the EU imminently. Now, it would like to, but as it doesn't really fancy adopting the democratic standards, has absolutely no chance. Notice how nearly 8 years later, Turkey hasn't joined, is no nearer to joining, and no Brexiteers are even talking about it anymore. And second, that literally every person in Turkey would up sticks and move to Britain. It wasn't, oh, there's going to be some people from Turkey coming here. No, it's everyone. The number they quoted was the actual population of Turkey at the time. Essentially, Turkey was used as a fear factor for Brexit, part of the real Project Fear. So it was with a sense of now all too frequent Brexit irony that I read a government press release a few weeks ago. The UK is seeking views from businesses and the wider public on UK negotiation objectives for a new trade agreement with Turkey. Now, there's nothing wrong with exploring better trading opportunities with countries around the world, and Turkey is very close to us in some areas. It's just that it was a little weird to see the same party who were attacking Turkey during the Brexit campaign suggesting that we should want nothing to do with a trading organisation that would have anything to do with Turkey. Now saying, oh, we should have much closer trading relationships with Turkey. It was particularly weird that Boris Johnson, famously of Turkish origin, was one of the people doing so the most loudly. But what was just another bit of Brexit irony might be something else. Because when I read that press release, I just thought, oh, little bit of a grin, didn't think much of it. Certainly wasn't going to do a video about it until today. The leading article on the Financial Times website is of a sudden increase in exports this year from Turkey to Russia of goods that are considered important for Russia's war effort. Sorry, special 3-day operation effort. Oh, wait, hang on a minute. Actually, I think they are now calling it a war. I think they've given up with the special operation. I think they now call it a war, as you were. The FT reports an increase in exports of 45 materials, which are not specifically military materials, but which are used by Russia's military. Now, given that Turkey is a member of NATO, the article also reports, as you might expect, that this has kicked up a little bit of a stink with other NATO partners. They're not best pleased with Turkey basically helping Russia's war effort like this. And a member of the US government is due to visit Ankara in a diplomatic effort to try to halt these exports. Now, whether that's successful or not and how much it will cost to get Erdogan to behave himself again, what's interesting to me is the potential link between this push by the UK government, this sudden push to pursue closer trade with Turkey, just as Turkey are revealed to be ramping up trade with Russia. Now, the Tories have a little bit of a history with Putin. I don't just mean in terms of diplomatic contact with the regime. I'm not criticising governments talking to other governments, even if they're governments we don't approve of. But I mean senior Conservatives, including those who are either in government or have entered government later, taking substantial donations, very large donations, from people with very close links to the Kremlin. This is not the extent of the suspicious behaviour as well. Like Boris Johnson tried everything to consign the report into Russian interference in our politics to the dustbin. He failed. Members of the public cannot see the full details. Lots of redactions, of course it is, national security. But when the committee of MPs reflected on it, we were left in no doubt as to just how deep Putin's hooks are in us. And that the Tory government specifically told our intelligence services specifically told them not to look for evidence of Russian interference in our politics. Johnson himself, at the height of the Salisbury attacks, as Foreign Secretary, gave his security detail the slip and parted with Russian agents in Italy. Who knows what he told them? It was quite right that he be investigated for his lies in Parliament. But if you were to pick one thing he should have been investigated for, surely it would be this. And the associations aren't just with the old guard, like Johnson, Cameron and so on. But Sunak has got questions to answer as well. When he was telling British businesses to cut relations with Russia, he famously didn't appear to mean his wife. Infosys was trading in Russia throughout the whole of last year, at least. I gather it says now it's not doing so, but for the whole of last year at least it was, and presumably a good chunk of this year. So his household was profiting from trade with a regime that was attacking, indeed invading Europe. A regime with whom the government were officially saying British-based businesses should not trade. When he was challenged about this, Sunak said his wife's business was not his own. Now, if Sunak were just an ordinary citizen, you could go, okay, you can make that argument. You can't decide your wife's business affairs. But he was the Chancellor. He can decide everyone's business affairs. He could have applied sanctions against Russia, which would have prohibited the practice. He didn't because he didn't want to. The fact that the UK government imposed very few sanctions, even on individual oligarchs and their families, let alone businesses trading with the Kremlin, is highly suspicious. They applied far fewer sanctions than, say, the EU or the USA. What I'm saying is that the Conservatives have been personally, not as a government, but individuals, very close to Putin's regime. Very close indeed. They even bunged a Russian oligarch who derived his wealth from Putin's patronage into the House of Lords against the strongest objections of both the House of Lords Appointments Committee and our intelligence services. I think it is therefore reasonable to judge the Tories quite critically when it comes to whether they're really opposing Putin's actions. Like, politically, they condemn his recent behaviour. That's words, right? But they showed no signs of really caring if they or their friends and families were profiting from the war. Yes, we're supplying Ukraine with much needed military assistance, certainly hardware and training. But if we're still allowing people to profit, to do business, we're not really committed to Ukraine, are we? Or indeed European peace. Now, there are such things as coincidences, of course. Maybe it just made sense for the Department for International Trade to take a look at a trade deal with Turkey roundabout now. Maybe it's just a coincidence that the Tories chose to do this at a time when it might reasonably have been alerted to the fact that Turkey is operating as an interesting conduit for trade with Putin's regime. Because I'm reading about this today. The UK government may have found this out some weeks ago. Now, call me cynical. But when it comes to making money for wealthy Tories, I'm not sure I have much faith in coincidences. When it comes to politics, right now, they are incredibly bad at it. They're making every mistake under the sun. But when it comes to making money for themselves, they seem quite adept. But there we are. Let me know what you think in the comments below. If you found the video interesting, please click the like button and subscribe to the channel for further content. And until next time, I'll see you later.